Harman and I came to America in 1797. Later, we arrived in Marietta, founded as the first organized settlement in the Northwest Territory. In 1788 and in 1798, Harman decided to build a home on an island about 14 miles below Marietta on the Ohio River, now known as Blennerhassett Island. Aaron Burr visited our home and later used the island as a mustering point for men and materials in his quest for the Southwest. We provided money and the island as part of the venture. Later, we suffered the loss of our island home as well as the loss of our fortune. The men that settled in Marietta, Ohio were veterans of the American Revolution, coming here from the east to open up the Northwest Territory. A threat to the Confederacy, real or imagined, by Burr, would naturally deeply concern these men. Further progress was halted by these troops, and the Blennerhassetts never again lived on the island. The epilogue depicts my sadness at the loss of a once happy home, and it is to note that, as my curse predicted, no man has been able to remain or live on the island in the home since.
As you listen, imagine these scenes as the work is being performed in the following segments. Segment 1, the island. Constructed as if one is in a boat going down the Ohio River. As you round a bend and through the mist before full light, more and more details of the island become clear to you, and you can see trees, beaches, and wildlife moving about. Segment 2, the mansion, depicts not only what may have been seen in the 1800s, but also the inevitable doom of the house which later was looted and burned. Segment 3, life in the manor. Manor means estate, and we see various activities around the grounds and inside the house. Visualize my wife riding a spirited horse and maybe even barking of hounds on the hunt. Segment 4, Mr. Burr and the conspiracy. Can you feel the military troops approaching from a distance, interwoven along with themes from the first sections paraphrasing Washington's March to honor General and President Washington? This seemed appropriate since the troops occupied the grounds and mansion during our family's absence. And then finally, the epilogue, the island's curse. Years later, my wife wrote, "Drive on, destructive flood, and never again on that devoted isle let man remain." The work ends on a note of sadness for that which could have been.
As strangers, we came down the Ohio, seeking a place in the wilderness. Our island was deserted then, rising from the Ohio like a lost ship at sea. It offered us beauty and peace. Drive on, destructive flood, and never again on that devoted isle let man remain. Dear isle, Farewell.
That was Blennerhassett's Suite. The next number is Blennerhassett March and Quickstep. I, Harman Blennerhassett, wrote several musical compositions, bequeathing them to my son Joseph Louis Blennerhassett for possible future publication. These include this march, originally penned for pianoforte. It was initially published in 1845 and again in 1847. The 1847 music cover contained the earliest published illustration of my mansion on this island. Many of the prints have been lost with time, and it is only this piece that was published. This arrangement for concert wind band was completed by our very own trumpet player, Eric Croasmun, for the St. Mary's Community Concert Band for their 2023 inaugural performance at the Blennerhassett Mansion. Mr. Croasmun, will you please stand? This piece is dedicated to directors Rocky Wiseman, Dave Burton, and Wayne Smith, and their continued commitment to music education, even into adulthood, for their musicians. This arrangement is also the first arrangement Eric Croasmun completed after the passing of his dear friend and college professor, Dr. Harold Wiesner, who was his music theory professor at West Liberty University. His teachings today still influence Eric's arrangements.
Blennerhassett Island is one of the most beautiful islands on the Ohio River. It's situated 2 miles below the city of Parkersburg. It is known the world over for the romance of my husband Harman, who along with me settled here on the island in 1798. Harman was an Irish lawyer who was born in Hampshire, England. He sold the estate, which he inherited in Ireland, and went back to England to make preparations for a voyage to America. I was a young lady in England. We met. I was the daughter of a lieutenant governor of Ireland and the granddaughter of General Agnew, who fell on the battlefield of Germantown. I was fascinated with the tales of the New World and became his bride, and was brought across to New York in 1797. From there, we went overland to Philadelphia, then on to Pittsburgh. Again, those were desolate places. We obtained passage on a keelboat to Marietta, Ohio, a hub of culture. There, we spent the winter. The next year, my husband purchased this island, or a portion of this island, which bears our name. It is here that he built a palace, an image of beauty, and the beautiful halls were furnished with sumptuous carpets, classical pictures, splendid mirrors, and unique furniture. The library contained an excellent assortment of the world's rarest and costliest books. Rich tapestries and other ornaments were arranged to a queen's taste. Life here was a blessing, and it was this time that Harman sang his melody of love.